Awesome. Quiet on the set, please. RSQUAD, welcome back to another episode of Brick by Brick. Question that we begin with tonight. Have you ever started something? A video game, a goal, a challenge, a project, a homework assignment, a diet, anything. You ever started anything and never finished it? You were really excited about it at first, then as you got into it a little bit more, you realized this is gonna take a lot of time. This is gonna take a lot of energy, maybe a lot of money, a lot of resources. You didn't really realize quite what you were getting yourself into. A lot of times, it's really easy to start something. It's exciting. We tell people about our plans and our goals, and we get to work. Now, we can very easily get caught up and discouraged when we bump into any type of challenge or objection to the goal that we are trying to achieve. Anytime we experience difficulty, it can be really easy to throw the towel in and just give up. The Kyung Hotel, right here. This is located in North Korea. It is currently listed in the Guinness World Record book as being the tallest unoccupied building in the world. This pyramid-shaped skyscraper with clear influence from ancient Egypt is one of the strangest yet most beautiful landmarks on planet Earth. It was set out to be the world's tallest hotel, and what should have opened in 1989 was delayed and now forever stalled because of problems with the building's material and was officially canceled in 1993, the year of our Lord, with not enough funds to continue completion. The skyscraper would not have only been a hotel, it would have contained office space and apartments, amongst other things. And although the exterior looks complete and very nice, it is nowhere near safe. It has not been worked on in a very, very, very long time. Economic risk, delays in construction, financial issues, and a lack of funds, specifically some wars, and also overall lack of materials led to the cancellation of the Kyung Hotel. Amazing looking building, but not safe, not usable. Here's what I'm getting at. There's so many different stories about this. As I got into this, figuring out what I wanted to bring to the final Nehemiah message, I got carried away on the internet, as we all can, by looking into apparently there's an entire subway system under Cincinnati in Ohio that was never even used. Not one time did a subway train or car ever go through, but there's a whole subway system under the city. It's insane. What I'm getting at is that a lot of times it's easy to start projects. It's really hard to finish projects. And so today we conclude the Nehemiah series brick by brick with a message and lesson specifically on Nehemiah's perseverance. Quick recap. Nehemiah has this broken heart because of a broken wall. God has placed a specific vision and assignment into his life, and so far he has bumped into all types of challenges, all types of difficulty. Along the way, he is seeing the project to the end. He's taken personal ownership, personal responsibility, and full responsibility for completing the project. He's got the whatever it takes mentality. Nehemiah Chapter 6, verse 1 says this: "Now when Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem," those are recurring bullies in our story, "and the rest of our enemies heard that I had built the wall and that there was no breach left in it, Sanballat and Geshem sent to me saying, 'Come and let us meet together at Hakkephirim in the plain of Ono,' but they intended to do me harm. I sent messengers to them saying, 'I am doing a great work. I can't come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you?'" He says, I'm doing a great work. I can't stop this and come down here. Nehemiah taking personal ownership and responsibility and knows that there is no other plan other than the plan to persevere. He's not letting distractions, threats, etc. stop him from what God has placed in his art. What God has placed in his heart. Nehemiah's ownership of the mission and vision of this project came down to three things, specifically related to his personal contribution to the project. Let's read one more section of scripture And we'll jump in. Nehemiah Chapter 5, verse 14. For the entire 12 years that I was governor of Judah. This is Nehemiah sort of recounting on the process of building the wall and what was going on. From the 20th year to the 32nd year of the reign of King Artaxerxes, neither I nor my officials drew on our food allowance. The former governors, in contrast, had laid heavy burdens on the people, demanding a daily ration of food and wine, besides 40 pieces of silver. Even their assistants took advantage of the people, but because I feared God, I did not act that way. I also devoted myself to working on the wall and refused to acquire any land. I required all my servants to spend time working on the wall. I asked for nothing, even though I regularly fed 150 Jewish officials at my table, besides all the visitors from other lands. The provisions I paid for each day included 1 ox, 6 choice sheep or goats, and a large number of poultry. And every 10 days we needed a large supply of all kinds of wine. Yet I refused to claim the governor's food allowance because the people already carried a heavy burden. He ends with this: remember, oh my God, all that I have done for these people, and bless me for it. Here's what all this boils down to. We see 3 very key ingredients to Nehemiah taking personal ownership of leading people through the process of rebuilding the wall around Jerusalem. Number 1 was his personal sacrifice. He says, I didn't take the food allowance that was allotted to me as the governor. I paid for provisions for the group on my own, like out of my own budget. I don't want another thing, even a small thing, to put burden on my people as we seek to accomplish this. Number 2 was the generosity. Feeding, taking care of his people, stopping the oppression of the poor that was happening in the midst of famine and injustices in the community during the project. And finally, servant leadership. He did not use the position of leadership and power and authority for personal gain like all of the other governors, like all of the other poor leaders in that time. He devoted himself to working on the wall still. So he wasn't just ordering it and barking orders at people and telling them what to do while he sat over here on the throne. No, he was in the trenches. He was on the wall. He was doing just as much work, if not more, than all of the other workers. RSQUAD, one of our very own incredible small group leaders, just went on a pretty incredible trip. To another country, to the country of Ghana. She experienced some incredible things, specifically some things that we're talking about as far as taking personal ownership and responsibility for advancing a mission and a vision. I want you to have an opportunity to hear from her tonight. We're going to get her on the line right now.
What's up?
What's up? How's it going?
Cool.
Well, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Instagram notifications are just popping up on my phone, but getting those out of there. Kate, I just got one question for you. We're talking in this Nehemiah series. This is the final week, week 4, brick by brick. Right now we're talking about the concept of personal sacrifice, generosity, and servant leadership. You just had an awesome opportunity to go to Ghana for the first time ever. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us some things that you learned, and how would you encourage students to personally contribute to a mission or a vision with personal sacrifice, generosity, and servant leadership in mind?
Awesome. Well, I learned a ton. I learned a lot about what it looks like to have joy in the struggles and the good times. Joy is something that we are called to choose. And I just saw that so much when I was there. When it comes to sacrificing to make a difference in the lives of your friends and family, I just saw that so much in the small things. Throughout the day, throughout a lot of our relationships that we made there, the people in Ghana were always sacrificing their time, whether it was to listen to what we had to say, or if it was our interpreters missing school, or if it was the women that we were speaking to in the market that were like giving us seats to sit at. Like, it's always like the little things, and you just saw you can see like the love of Jesus in that, and just sacrificing little things. And it was so cool to see generosity through, I mean, they have so little there, but you see them in church, and they're tithing, and they're tithing with joy, and they're sacrificing. I mean, Pastor Isaiah, he is so little, but he has given so much of his time to serve his church and to serve the people of Kumasi, and it's so beautiful. And I think if I had one word to describe a servant leader, it would be humility. And that is something that I saw so clearly in the leaders there, was humility. One of my favorite passages is Philippians 2, and it talks about imitating Christ's humility. And, Christ made himself a servant. I mean, he, out of all people, can be flexing like he is God. But instead he made himself a servant. Yeah, right? And he lowered himself and was obedient to death on the cross. So I just thought...
She's out here preaching today.
Ooh.
That's incredible. Kate, real quick before you go, how did you grow? Give me one way you grew as a leader. There's probably a lot of ways, but give me one way you grew as a leader by being on this trip and making a personal contribution.
I would say I grew through seeing these people choosing joy. They have so little, and they continue to worship. We, as Christ followers, our sole purpose is to worship him, whether it's through our actions or whether it's singing, or whether it's our words. And I would say, like, it was just so encouraging and so beautiful to see the people of Kumasi and the people of Saduhu Baptist Church just worshiping him with their whole hearts. And that's such an honor and such a joyful thing to do. And so now we get to go out and learn from that and be joyful and worship our King. So
love it. Kate, thank you so much for being willing to speak into the lives of our students. We're getting back to this video right now. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Of course. See you later.
Peace. Here's how the story of Nehemiah rebuilding the wall ends. Nehemiah Chapter 6, verse 15. So the wall was finished on the 25th day of the month Elul in 52 days. And when all our enemies had heard of it, all the nations around us were afraid and fell greatly in their own esteem, for they perceived that this work had been accomplished with the help of our God. Here's what we see. God working in the background. Nehemiah working in the background. Nehemiah working on the wall in the face of opposition. And then finally, Nehemiah's personal ownership to lead through personal sacrifice, generosity, and servant leadership. Brick by brick, Nehemiah leads the people of Jerusalem to defense, security, and prosperity. Your influence and ownership. I'm talking to you, every single RSQUAD student that is watching this video and will ever watch this video. You have the potential to change the world through your servant leadership, your generosity, and your personal sacrifice, brick by brick.